Hello and welcome all to Tales from the Time Traveler's Tavern. I will be your guide and navigator, Mr.E, taking you on this informative journey. Informative of what? We still don't know. But that's why I have had the good fortune to bring along with me the colorful commentary of our internet guru, my good friend Toast.
Butter is optional.
There you go. And to the other side, we have Private Snafu.
Good day, Mr.E. Good day, Toast.
Alright, now we're going to go down a traveling line of science fiction or science fiction and all that kind of good stuff.
But it has to eventually all work out. But it takes a while for everything to come together. Another good example of something like that is Stargate. They have an episode where the whole basis of it is there's a jar that's found that has a camcorder in it.
Right.
And on the tape is basically, I think it's Jackson, is on the tape saying, they went back in time to try and get like a power source, and everything went wrong. But because they went back in time, it also caused too early of an uprising, and then basically the guy just took the Stargate away. Now Earth has no Stargate. So, ends up being other problems. But now you have this altered, this altered timeline where everything's just all different. They find a different Stargate, which was also still on Earth, but they find that one. They use it to go back in time to try and set things right. By going back in time and setting things right, they actually ends up making things slightly different. And what I like is the fact that when they're asking some of the members to tell stories, to make sure that they know that it's them. O'Neill basically he's like, my pond has no fish. He's like, but it's a great place to relax. Well, they show the video recording, and everything goes on, and it cuts back to just everyone just sitting around at base. And O'Neill's watching the tape. He goes, so what do we need to do to make sure this occurs? Carter's like, nothing. It's already happened. There's nothing we can do because it's already occurred from our point of view. He's like, okay, well then, let's have a weekend. And it shows them going back to his cabin. He casts. They're like, oh, this is really relaxing. And a fish jumps. And he just goes, close enough. And that's just it, where the traveling back and forth realigns the timeline, but little differences now occur.
Right.
But,
I liked Futurama's take on time travel, though, where they figure out that they can't travel backward in time, so they have to keep traveling forward in time.
Yeah.
Until the rebirth of the universe happens a couple of times.
I think that was actually after Bender's big score.
I don't remember.
I think it was, which is funny because that was entirely about time travel.
Yeah. But they I liked that because they made a pit stop in World War II so that the professor could
shoot Adolf Hitler.
Take out Hitler. And then the second time around, he's like, I'll just shoot him from the window. Damn, I missed! And I forget who he said he hit. Eleanor Roosevelt.
But yeah, like I said, there's so many different styles. I was just recently talking with someone based off of Doctor Who, because the way they ended certain character arcs means they're off on their own with their own time machine. And the idea that was put forward was, those two should have a show where they basically go and they pick someone up, take them back in time, and allow them to change their own past in order to give themselves a better life. I'm like, but how would that work?
Yeah.
Because now you're changing a personal past, which means that technically the person you brought with no longer exists, but then why did you bring them back in the past?
The one I kind of like, the approach I kind of like, is the one they did in DC Comics, where they had Barry Allen.
Talking about Flashpoint?
Yeah, Flashpoint.
Flashpoint has its own issues.
Right, but prior to Flashpoint, they had actually explored the idea of Barry, I forget if it was Barry Allen or Wally West being able to effectively outrun time.
I believe it's Wally West, because it's the reason he wants to go back in time is his mother Iris West was killed, but most of them require the cosmic treadmill. Yeah, they do.
He was the only one who didn't, because he was trying to outrun the Death Flash, or the version of Death.
Black Flash.
Yeah, the Black Flash that's trying to chase down every speedster.
Which in the newer comics, because looking this up, they have a different speedster that's actually killing speedsters.
Reverse Flash?
No. That's Eobard Thawne.
Yeah. No,
this is it's a different guy called Godspeed.
Okay.
What he's doing is he's killing off other speedsters and taking their speed because he feels that they don't deserve it.
Pretty soon you'll get addicted to math.
Just because they're all doing amphetamines doesn't mean anything. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
No,
At least you're not a Marine.
The way he beat that, thing though, was to run to the end of time. And I don't think that was with the cosmic treadmill. But then when he came back, he had to run so far and so fast that when he actually had to stop in his time, the Force broke his legs and virtually every other bone in his body. So he spent a long time in a wheelchair.
I was just thinking that moment, the Force broke his legs, so he spent 6 minutes in recovery.
Yeah, no, hyperspeed because of the fractures involved with how his legs got broken. The hyperspeed healing ended up healing what would have turned anybody else into basically a Vietnam vet in a wheelchair. But didn't because, for him it was just a matter of letting the fragments re-knit back together.
It's about that and plot armor. Yeah. Powerless had an episode that was based off of the race between Flash and Superman, and the whole joke was the fact that one guy's just holding out a cup full of water. And they're like, "What? You honestly think the Flash is going to stop for a cup of water?" It's like, you never know. And one of the guys is like, "Oh, I got to tie my shoe." He bends over, and all you see is just two blurs go shooting past.
Uh-huh.
He stands up and goes, "Gah!" And the guy's just holding his hand out. There's nothing in his hand anymore. Like, oh, look at your hand. He's like, whoa. He looked down at his shirt. It says, thanks for the H2O, the Flash. Wow!
If I remember correctly, when they explored that plot device in the Adventures of Superman, they were actually using the Speed Force that the two of them were tapping as a power source. Some villain was using it. I think they were calling themselves Weather Wizard or Weather Master or something.
It's probably Weather Wizard.
Yeah, I forget because it's been
a lot of their names match.
Right.
They said Music Meister.
So when you were like,
is that like the Killer Quilt or whatever the hell that idiot's name was?
Crazy Quilt.
Crazy Quilt. That's what it was.
So,
Killer Moth was more of a threat than some of the freaking villains they had come up with.
Music Meister actually had the ability of working with other people because he's not like top tier, but he's decent. Just like Captain Boomerang.
Hey, Captain Boomerang actually is half decent.
my favorite supervillain, honestly, is Codpiece.
Codpiece?
Yes.
Wait a minute, is that the one that the toy, it looks like some bizarre groinal attachment sort of thing?
Yep.
Because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's what a Codpiece is.
Yeah, I understand that, but that's something.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was actually based on something DC came up with.
That was.
I still like from the Justice League animated series when the Flash has to go talk to the Jokester.
Trickster,
yeah. Just because. Also voiced by Mark Hamill.
Yeah, also voiced by Mark Hamill. Because he had played the Trickster in the first Flash iteration.
But part of the reason I like it is because for the scene that I remember, basically, they're like, oh, yeah, we gotta talk to the Trickster. And they're like, well, we'll just fly and we'll just beat him up. And Flash is like, no, let me talk to him. And literally, he just walks into the bar full of supervillains, and he's like, hey, how you doing? What are you talking about? Oh, I just got a couple questions. Have you been taking your medication? No. We've talked about this. You really need to keep on that sort of thing. The fact that the Flash just comes in and just talks to the guy basically about the fact that he needs to take his medication, he needs to take better care of himself. Because, that way everything will be better for him. And the guy's like, yeah, you're right. Okay, I will. He's like, oh, and we need to know, where, where to, I think it was like trying to find Superman. Like, and we need to know where to find, Superman for this. Oh, yeah, if you go over here and you can just do this, you should be able to find all the stuff you need. Hey, thanks. Don't forget to take your medication. I'll be fine. Have a nice day. Walks outside, like, oh, what'd you do? I had a civilized discussion with him. He's just a guy.
Yeah. Well, I think the funnier one there is the fact that they have this expectation with how bizarre all of the villains that have come to be in the DC universe. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that stems actually from Batman's Rogue Gallery, because those guys are the whack jobs of the whack jobs, because they literally are mostly just crazy.
Yeah.
They're dangerous because of it, but they're crazy with a gimmick, is what it really boils down to. With exception to Edward Nygma, who's just an egomaniac.
No, he has a compulsion.
Does he really?
Yep. There's actually I don't know if it was a comic line, like a story arc, or if it was just one issue, where he actually was cured of his compulsion to leave clues, and no one could find him. He was successful at everything he did because he planned everything meticulously, and no one could find him.
Yep.
because there was no evidence. It wasn't until the compulsion came back and he started leaving clues again that they were actually able to track him down.
Yeah, it doesn't shock me. But the thing about it is of the superheroes, the one who actually has the most qualities is one of the super powered one, and that's the Flash. He's the one that's the nice guy. Even though he's not the Boy Scout, as Superman is very often described, and he's not the world's greatest detective, such as Batman.
But the funny part is,
he's a freaking police.
But the Flashpoint and a couple of other comics and a couple of other series stuff point out that Flash is the Justice League moral compass. He is the guy who is the one who has no problem going up to any of the other people and going, "Hey,
knock it off.
Knock it off. Tone it down. You're going too far." And he's the only one they will listen to about it because he's the only one who really can go toe to toe with just about all of them. Maybe not as strong as,
right?
But he can move faster than all of them. He actually knows a lot of stuff, and he actually genuinely cares. He's had fights with some of his rogues. Where he could easily have just dropped them off with something, been like, whatever. But he deliberately goes out of his way to not hurt them very much, and to actually try and save them, and to actually be decent to them.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the group is called, but like 3 or 4 of his rogues actually do get together occasionally. And there's like 1 or 2 comics where basically, Flash is like, I need help. He shows up to, like at the bar they go to, he's like, "Guys, I need a hand real quick with something." Like, hey, what do you need a hand with? "Oh, giant reality destroying monster." Okay. And they'll help him. And he's like, "Yeah, I know you guys do stuff, but I'll worry about it tomorrow."
Yeah.
But so they're the guys they're willing to work with him because he's willing to work with them.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
they're also not as insane as some of the other ones.
Yeah, there's that too. But I know watching, I think it was the tail end of the first Justice League series, near the tail end, where they covered the death of Superman, and the person who purportedly killed Superman was caught by Wonder Woman, and Flash stands up to her and says, "Let him go." Because she was about to kill him. And she's like, "Do you speak for him?" And he said, "No, I'm trying to speak for Superman, who's dead." And again, she listened because nobody screws with the Flash. The Flash is the only person in the comic book series who actually knows what J'onn J'onzz looks like. His Martian form. He's the only one.
One of the other comics I enjoy, I haven't really read it, but I just like the idea of it. I believe it's Barry Allen as the Flash. Changes bodies with Lex Luthor.
Okay.
So basically, he basically wakes up and like, "Oh crap!" It's like, "I'm Lex Luthor." It's like, this is bad. He's like, "Because Lex is in my body," and Lex Luthor's like, I will finally know who the Flash is. The Flash is takes the mask off. "I have no idea who this is."
Yeah.
And that's just it. No one really knows who he is. Even when they see who he is, they're like, "I don't know who this guy is."
Because he goes out of his way to be a nobody when he's his alter ego. He effectively is kind of a bumbling nobody that nobody really knows except for his closest friends and ally. Well, and Batman, because Batman freaking knows. But that was actually a funny one. I forget which animated movie it was that they did, but they did one where Batman shows up and you've got Green Lantern and the Flash, and both of their reaction is, "Holy crap, you're real?"
There's another good one where I think it's Guy Gardner as the Green Lantern is working with Batman.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, you gotta have some superpowers related to a bat." He's like, "Nope." He's like, "You can fly." "Nope."
Nope.
It's like super strength. No. He's like, well, it would be really insane for just a normal human to be standing up to these super powered guys. I mean, that would be really ridiculous. My God. Because that's when he realizes that Batman has 0 superpowers.
Well, the fact that it gave him a smirk, too. He's like,
Yeah.
it's not like you're just some guy in a bat suit. And he gives him a smirk, and he's like, "You're some guy in a bat suit?" But to be fair, he is the pinnacle. I mean, he is the pinnacle of human achievement in the comics. Because he's got 9 degrees. I think at least 2 of them are doctorates. And on top of that, he, for the most part, oversees his company. He doesn't necessarily run it, but kind of runs it from the shadows, sort of thing.
That's one we're closer to what the actual like real businessman CEO should be doing.
Right.
He's running the big picture. He's got a board of directors.
Right.
That they run the day-to-day stuff. All he has to do is keep showing up and going, okay, you guys got your stuff handled, nothing's broken. I got my stuff handled, nothing's broken. We're all good, we're done.
Yeah. And even for portions of that, he's got Lucius Fox to take care of most of it.
Up to a point.
Right.
Because after a point, Lucius Fox breaks off into his own group.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because when you get to Batman Beyond, Fox Tekka is actually a rival.
That's right. I forgot about that. I thought that was his sons that did that, though.
No, that was one where they partially play off of it in the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. It's the last one where he basically Bruce Wayne gives control.
All right. Well, on that note of fact, validation, and verification, any other shuns we should add to that? Parting words, Snafu?
I don't know.
Hey.
It's above my pay grade.
Okay. And Toast?
I can't believe it's not butter.
All right, then. Once again, this has been your navigator and guide, Mr. E. Thank you for joining Tales from the Time Traveler's Tavern. So that's it.
You've got